years ago, President John F. Kennedy signed the Equal Pay Act of 1963 in an effort to ensure that women who performed the same work as men were paid the same wages. Upon signing the bill, President Kennedy lauded it as a significant step forward for women. But what President Kennedy probably did not realize was just how small of a step forward this legislation would really turn out to be. Today, over 50 years later, women still earn just 77 cents on average for every dollar earned by a man. Today, over 50 years later, women still face significant obstacles in terms of job opportunities and wages offered. It is clear that the Equal Pay Act of 1963 did not go far enough. And every couple of years, our Congress has the opportunity to pass a bill called the Paycheck Fairness Act that would remedy many of the problems inherent in the 1963 legislation. But every time this bill comes to the floor of our Congress, the most recent time was actually this morning, our Congress rejects it. And every time they reject it, they deny millions of women the money they deserve. And this doesn't just affect the women themselves, it affects everyone who depends on them in the entire American economy. Now, any of you who are women or know women, and I would imagine that's most of you, you have a reason to support paycheck fairness. It is time that we passed the Paycheck Fairness Act and ended the wage gap once and for all. Now, that buzz phrase, 77 cents on the dollar, that's not just feminist propaganda or left-wing campaign rhetoric. It is a fact that the average woman earns, on average, just 77 cents for every dollar earned by a man, according to a study by the White House Equal Pay Task Force in 2013. And these figures are even worse when you consider minority women. The American Association of University Women says that African American women earn, on average, just 64% of what white men earn, and Hispanic women, just 53%. And this wage gap holds true across all levels of educational attainment. According to the same White House study, women earn bachelor's, master's, professional, and doctorate degrees at higher rates than their male counterparts, yet the wage gap exists for all levels of education. Now, some people would argue that, well, this wage gap has nothing to do with discrimination at all. It's just a matter of men and women's different lifestyle choices. For example, a woman is more likely to be an elementary school teacher, while a man is more likely to be an engineer. A mom is more likely to take time off of work to raise a child, while a man's career is relatively unaffected by the birth of a child. These are valid points, however, they do not entirely explain away the wage gap. A study published in a 2012 edition of Bloomberg Business Week cited that even when you control for race, education, experience, occupation, and industry, women still, on average, earn just 91% of what their male counterparts earn. And according to the American Association of University Women, female editors earn 90% of what male editors earn. Female lawyers, 80%. Financial managers, 70%. And get this, even registered nurses, a traditionally female occupation, female RNs earn just 91% on average of what male RNs earn. So let's put these numbers into perspective. Let's take, for example, the male lawyer and the female lawyer. As I said, one earns just 80% of what the other does. So just to keep the math simple, we'll say he earns 100 grand and she earns 80 grand. Pretty reasonable salaries for lawyers. That's $20,000 a year more he earns than she does just because he's a man. So let's say once a year he can buy himself a brand new Mazda Sport. Or he can exercise a little self-control, get himself a new BMW every other year. But more practically, as the White House Equal Pay Task Force points out, how much money a woman earns affects all aspects of her life and those who depend on her. It affects where she and her children live, the food they eat, the clothes they wear, the educational opportunities, the frequency and quality of medical care they seek. All of these things are affected by how much a woman earns, and therefore, by denying women a fair wage, we are denying a fair wage to everyone in their family. And this is especially true in an era in which 40%, according to NPR, of households have a female sole or primary breadwinner. So that means some of you in this audience were raised by either a single mom or in a household in which your mom was the sole or primary breadwinner. And just think, your mom brought home just 77% of the income she could have, just because she was female. That wasn't just injustice to her, that was injustice to you as well. But the wage gap also has repercussions for the entire American economy. There's no such thing as a male economy and a female economy. We're all in this together, and therefore it makes sense for everyone who participates in our economy to pay our women the wages they deserve. A healthy economy depends on people with money to spend. When people have money to spend, it becomes income for others, businesses grow, the economy expands, and everybody's quality of life goes up. Therefore, when we deny women a fair wage, we're actually doing a disservice to our whole economy. Not to mention that by keeping women in poverty, not paying women the wages they earn, we're keeping them in poverty at higher rates than they should be. The 2012 census found that 15.4% of women between the working ages of 18 and 64 were in poverty, compared to just 11.9% of men. And what this means is that women are disproportionately reliant upon government services for basic needs. And this holds true well into old age as well. When women make less money over the course of their working lives, they have less money to put away into pension funds or individual retirement accounts, and are therefore far more likely to rely on the government for financial assistance until the day they die. Senator Bob Casey of Pennsylvania says that women past the age of 65 are 5 times more likely than men to rely upon the government for financial assistance. And over 2/3 of all federal dollars that go to senior citizens go to women. So in this current era of budget ceiling standoffs every 3 months or so and a national debt in excess of $17 trillion, if we are truly concerned about the solvency of our social safety net programs here in the United States, maybe the first thing we should do is consider the wages we pay our women. But what do we do about this? I mean, we already passed the Equal Pay Act of 1963. It is already illegal to pay women a different wage than we pay men, just for being women. But, as that 77 cents on the dollar figure points out to us, the Equal Pay Act of 1963 did not go far enough. But one thing we can do is pass the Paycheck Fairness Act, that bill that comes back every so often and that we keep sending away. This bill would accomplish several major things. First, it would narrow the range of acceptable reasons to pay one employee more than another. Secondly, it would prohibit employers from prohibiting employees from discussing wages amongst each other, a very popular tactic that keeps women in the dark about how much less they're actually making than their male coworkers. And finally, it would empower the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission to expand its investigations and prosecutions of wage discrimination in the United States. But how much would this cost? Well, the good news is it wouldn't cost very much at all. The authors of the Paycheck Fairness Act estimate that to successfully implement it, it would cost approximately $15 million. Well, $15 million sounds like a lot, but I'm just going to ask you for a moment. Consider that according to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, in the year 2012, we spent $411 billion on welfare services. $411 billion. Now, 15 million out of 411 billion, that represents 27,400, or 0.0000036%. So let's just say that if we enact this legislation, costs us $15 million, and we are successful in bringing 1 out of every 27,400 women off of welfare, this bill pays for itself. And, I'd be willing to bet that we're going to bring a whole lot more than 1 in 27,400, more than 0.00036% of women off of welfare thanks to this legislation. And the choice is entirely ours. As a woman, exactly 1 month away from graduating college and just a few weeks after that entering the world of full-time work, this is an issue that is particularly important to me. It frustrates me to think that my employer could pay me less than my male coworkers just because I'm a woman. And as things stand right now, he could do that. And ladies, so could yours. And guys, I'm sorry to say it, but someday your wives are going to be bringing to the family table just 77% of the income they could be, just because they're women. It is time we pass the Paycheck Fairness Act. Our women can't afford not to, their families can't afford not to, and our country can't afford not to. Thank you.